I was just a tad nervous to leave the theater after this movie because I was almost certain that Russell Crowe was going to hop out of a bush somewhere and yell, "Were you not entertained?" Oh, look, I got a haircut. So Darren Aronofsky brings us this story of some guy named Noah, weird name, who builds an ark. Not sure why they didn't just call it a boat. And he gathers 2 of every animal in the world on this ark with his family to save them from an oncoming flood that is going to wipe out all of the entirety of wicked humanity. It's a charming little Sunday school story. Okay, so there's a chance that you may have heard of the story of Noah. But this is Darren Aronofsky's version of that story. Darren Aronofsky is known for doing these mind-bending, intense dramas like Black Swan and Requiem for a Dream. But this version of Noah doesn't seem to really know exactly what kind of movie it wants to be. So Noah and his family live in this dystopian wasteland. It's just this dark wasteland where everyone is white and speaks English. And at first, the way that this world is set up is very interesting. There are fallen angels that look like these rock transformer creatures. And I was really into the first half of the movie. It almost had sort of a never-ending story kind of vibe. Then the story kind of takes a turn. There's this oncoming battle with people wanting to take the Ark, and things start to feel very Lord of the Ringsy. And even though the movie started to feel kind of inconsistent in tone, I was still going with it. And then the movie takes another turn in the third act, and for me, everything just kind of fell apart. There's some character turns that were just a bit too far-fetched. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but there's just a couple of plot things that I was like, I really just had a hard time identifying myself with Noah or with any characters in this movie and the journey that they seem to go on. Not to say that this movie didn't have some very impressive visual things going on. I really like the overall look of this movie. And there's this sort of time-lapse sequence that goes through the beginnings of creation that's actually really, really cool. I wouldn't say that any of the performances are really bad in this. I mean, Russell Crowe brings his Russell Crowe-ness. He does try to sing at one point, and we all know how good of a singer Russell Crowe is. Emma Watson does a fine job at being, I guess, the mother of all British people. I just realized this movie might be a tad racist if it's suggesting that all humankind spawned from a white British person. There were some characters that pretty much just fell completely by the wayside, and it's not really the actor's fault. The script just gives them absolutely nothing to do. It gives some characters some interesting depth and treats other characters like chess pieces. So because this movie is based on a biblical story, there are probably going to be a lot of religious groups that are going to be all over this, but I definitely wouldn't call this a biblical movie. It's just kind of taking that story and making its own thing out of it. I'm just saying that some people are probably going to be pointing their fingers at this and saying, "That's not how it really happened, and I know I was there." So Noah is an epic movie. It has some really impressive visuals, but it takes a lot of chances that just don't pay off. There's inconsistencies with plot and tone, and the latter half of the movie is just a convoluted mess. And so for that, I would probably have to give it a C. As in, maybe you should or should not see this. It was raining a lot after I got out of the movie, and that made me just a tad nervous. Because I can't build things, and most animals scare me. Except for puppies.